Hey, Tim. Nice to see you. Very cold. Oh, dear. It's beautiful here in the UK, which is probably not what you want to hear, but it's 26 degrees, hence why I'm in summer gear today, because it's going to get extremely hot. Morning, morning. Good morning, everybody. Lovely to see you. Oh, I'm recognizing some of the names. Great to see you back, guys and girls. And I hear that a lot of you will be going back to normal work next week, which must be quite exciting. Well, when I say normal, whatever normal is going to be after lockdown. But that must be quite exciting. But I know also a lot of people are quite nervous about getting back into work and what that's going to look like. You know what? I'm going to put my glasses on and just read some of these lovely messages. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Richard from Nigeria. Oh, Johannesburg is freezing. Oh, dear. Oh, hi from Mauritius. I bet that's lovely. Morning, Russell. Oh, yeah, Tom, you were meant to be in the UK, weren't you? Gosh, you couldn't have picked a better time. I don't remember a spring or a summer that's been as fabulous as this one. It's just been amazing. Hi, Karen. Oh, it's cold. Peter, hi from Salt Rock. Lovely to see you all. Right, we've hit 10 o'clock, so I am going to share my screen and I will, hang on a minute. Let me just go turn my video off, turn the screen share on, and we will get started. I'm sure there'll be lots more people joining us, but let's just crack on. Hold on a minute. Let me just make sure that this is going to be here. Just give me a minute while I make sure that I can bring this up here. It was all set up and ready to go, but as often happens when you start webinars, slides have got a funny way of just disappearing. But I know exactly where it is. It's right here. Okay. Let's just see. Okay, tell you what, just give me 2 seconds, guys. And let me come back into the webinar. And here we go. Fantastic. And sharing. And we're ready to roll. So thank you all for joining me. I know some of you came on the last Maximising Your Talent webinar. So a lot of this will be repetition, but I do firmly believe it's good to revisit learning and training, because we only absorb a fraction of any kind of training program. It doesn't matter how interesting it is or how good the presenter is. It's actually quite difficult to stay focused on any kind of presentation for more than a few minutes. Our brains flit off to what's going on at home, what we've done that morning, what we're going on to, how much time we've got, etc., etc. So although it's very similar to the last presentation that you will have watched if you joined me for the last one, you will get new information, you will get new insights, and the more you look into training and development, the deeper you embed that learning. So let me just go on to full screen. So what we're going to be doing today, most of you know me, just a little bit about my background. I work a lot with business leaders and entrepreneurs. I really help people connect to who they are at their core, to find their uniqueness and to step into that uniqueness and to let it show in a way that is really meaningful and authentic, so that people know what value you have to offer, people understand why they should work with you if you're the right person for them. And it's really important that we all get clarity around what is special and unique about us and how we can share that in a way that is understandable, that is authentic, but that also enables people to make the right decision about whether we are the right person for them or if they know somebody who's right for them. So when we hide ourselves behind a bush, or when we keep our light shining very dimly, we deny people the opportunity to tap into the wisdom and the expertise that we've built up over the years. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be understanding the 4 natural energies that lead to flow, and I will be expanding on flow in more detail. We're going to do an overview of the 8 different profiles. Now, I know that many of you have taken your profile. If you haven't, I thoroughly recommend it. And then we're going to be looking at how you specifically can tap into more of your true potential, because all of us, no matter where we are in life, we're just scratching the surface. There is so much more potential in all of us. And it's a deep well of potential that is just waiting for us and longing for us to dive in. And the exciting thing is that you never get to the bottom of that well. It's an ongoing journey. And the deeper you dive in, the more exciting potential you unleash. And life is just a journey of discovery. So we're going to start that journey. We're going to accelerate that journey right now, because I know a lot of you are already on it. And just to remind you of this quote from Einstein, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. When we're out of flow, when we're doing work that feels like we're wading through treacle, it's not our skill set, we actually start to feel quite inadequate, and that can make us feel stupid, and it can really lower our self-esteem, our confidence, our motivation, and our productivity. So I'm going to share a little bit of my story, which is actually really relevant to what I'm going to be coming on to tell you. So bear with me as I take you back a few years. There's me, just a very young baby, only about 6-7 months there. My mother, interestingly enough, was born and bred in Durban, and she lived there until she was 26. She met my father once when he docked in Durban. He was with the army, and she and her friends used to invite some of the soldiers back to their church, and then for fellowship afterwards and supper. And she met my dad once. She corresponded with him for 5 years. And the next time she saw him was after a 3-week boat trip, when she came over from Durban to London, then on to Glasgow to marry him. And you know what faith was that after one meeting? I am wearing her rings. My father sent her the money to buy her engagement ring, because of course diamonds in South Africa are so much purer and so much more valuable. So I was brought up in a very strict Baptist family. So church 3 times on a Sunday, youth groups, prayer groups in the week, and very much encouraged to spend my leisure time with people from the church. And at 13, my brothers and I started a youth group in a very deprived area of Glasgow, where it was absolutely rife with drug abuse, with broken homes, gang warfare, alcoholism, and a lot of the young people that we met and who came into the youth group were in and out of prison and lots of trouble, and really had no hope for any sort of fulfilling future. And I remember at 13 standing on a big stage in front of these teenagers and talking about the meaning of life and purpose and fulfillment and, you know, finding your way, and feeling really empowered to be able to share this with these people. And despite their background, they listened and they were really respectful, and they talked to us afterwards, and they came frequently on Sunday evenings to spend some time with us. And that was a real joy. Now, when my hormones were kicking in, 14 going on 15, I began to rebel against this strict upbringing. And I persuaded my parents to let me go to a disco, although I was told that I would be entering a den of iniquity. And I remember my friends waiting outside round the corner with a bag of clothes that would make me look more like a rock chick than as if I was going to Sunday school, which is the way I'd left the house. And they dolled me up, put makeup on, etc. And off I went. And that happened 3 times. And of course, the inevitable happened. I met a really tall, handsome, very charismatic guy, fell madly in love. And that started a whole roller coaster of a very deep but very up and down relationship. He was incredibly charismatic. He was really worldly wise. And for a young girl of barely 15 who'd been in such a sheltered upbringing, he was a godsend. And I suppose at that young age, I pretty much worshipped him. And of course, those years are our formative years. So he had a massive influence on me. His thoughts more or less became my thoughts. His opinions on life and politics and everything became my opinions. And at 19, I married him. And then I realized very quickly that I'd married a bully. His raison d'etre was to keep me small. And he used to say to me things like, well, our friends are only friends with us because of me, because of my charisma. You've got nothing to add. You've got nothing to say. And that you've got nothing to say really cut deeply. And it's a mantra that rears its ugly head every now and again, even though I'm now a speaker. Now, initially, I fought back from this marital straitjacket, but I soon realized it was less painful just to shrink and to play small. And I ended up a bit like this lady in a box, a shadow of my former self, really unhappy, really unfulfilled. But the overriding emotion was deep, deep shame, because I looked back on that young girl of 13, standing on that stage in front of those troubled teenagers, talking to them about the meaning of life and fulfillment and purpose. And here was I, living a life that was barely significant on any level. And I was truly guilty and truly ashamed. And at that moment, in that dark place of my life, I vowed that when I got out of there, what I wanted to do was to empower other people to find their purpose, to find their fulfillment in life, and to tap into more of their true potential. And fast forwarding many years, when I got out of that relationship and remarried, and very happily married with 2 daughters in the 20s now, I was running networking groups, 8 business networking groups for women. And I was really fulfilling that desire to empower others. And I suddenly went to a conference and heard a lady speak about profiling, and was so blown away about flow and profiling and finding your strengths that I took the profile, then I trained in it, and it completely changed my life. And now I spend 70 to 80% of my time fully in flow. I work a lot with teams and with individuals, enabling them to find where they're most in flow and to spend more of their time doing the work that they love and having so much more impact. And that's very much what I want to be sharing with you today, how each and every one of us can unlock more of that deep potential we all possess, live a life in flow, and have joy in the work we do every day, and not only leave a legacy, but actually live our legacy, impacting on everybody that we live with, that we work with, that we interact with in our daily lives. So let's move on now. And where I am now is this joyful speaker. That is an ideal picture of me on stage, because when I'm on stage speaking to an audience, I'm fully in flow and I'm full of joy. So I said I'd talk to you about flow, and I like to describe flow as a fast flowing river. The water's going down to the sea. It doesn't matter what obstacles get in the way. There might be a discarded car in that river. There might be a whole stack of massive boulders or some branches of a tree, but it doesn't matter what's there. Because that water's flowing, it will circumnavigate every obstacle and it will get to its destination. And when we're in flow, we're so aligned with what we're doing that time flies by, and we're fired up so much that we solve problems like never before. We spark up our creativity, And many of you may think you're not creative, but Pablo Picasso famously said, we're all born artists. The challenge is to remain an artist while you're growing up. And, you know, every single one of us has got artistic genes within our body. But yet, all through our school life, our formative years, we're encouraged to do things the way the teacher's shown us how to do them, to do things the way they've always been done. And when we try to bring in our own take on things and we try to do things a different way, we're told to do it the way we've been told. And we come out of school very often feeling that creativity is wrong and we shouldn't be creative. And that's often perpetuated when we go into the workplace and we come up with an idea and then we're shouted down on that idea. And we just think, do you know what? I'll just listen because I'm obviously not creative. But when we're in flow, when we're doing the work that we love, we're fired up, we're energized, we're loving what we do. And the more we're in flow, the stronger we become in our area of expertise. And therefore, that creativity is sparked up. And, you know, there's nothing better than at the end of the day, looking back and seeing something you've created. And it might be a fantastic spreadsheet. It might be a great project. It might be a new way of running your team or a new workshop. It's not necessarily arts, craft, design. We can all be creative in whatever area of work we work. And then, of course, the more creative we are and the more we're in flow, the more we're seen as an expert. We're the go-to person in our area of expertise. And people will come and ask for our help, for our advice. And the impact of that is we start feeling really valued because we are being appreciated for the unique set of strengths and skills we bring, rather than being shoehorned and molded into a job description where half of the work is not our flow, where half of the work feels like we're wading through treacle. And of course, being in flow, we work quickly, we're more productive, and ultimately we're more profitable, or the business that we work for becomes more profitable. And because we're feeling strong and appreciated and aligned with what we're doing and are creative, we're much more collaborative. We're not threatened by the rising talent around us. We're not challenged by ideas that other people come up with. We encourage them. We want to engage with others. We're so strong in our own area of expertise that we fully value the strengths of other people and how they complement our challenges and our strengths. So you get a team that's more engaged, more collaborative, and the energy of not only yourself, but that team, the team in flow, is absolutely palpable because everybody is in the right role, doing the right things for all the right reasons. And the whole team feels like a well-oiled machine with all the cogs turning together in harmony and all relying on each other to be the best version of themselves. That's the magic of being in flow. And when you discover where your profile sits and you apply the knowledge and you spend 70 to 80% of your time in flow, your energy is off the Richter scale and life becomes so joyful and so fulfilling. So you have been measured if you've done your profile on 4 different energies. If you haven't, this will explain a little bit more about it. The online questionnaire gives you a score of these 4 different energies, and depending on those scores, you will be coming out as one of the 8 profiles around the catalytic profile, the contribution profile compass. And I just want to emphasize here that this is not about labeling you, putting you in a box, saying, oh, you're a catalyst, so this is the way you think and act. It's more about giving you a framework of skills, of challenges, of communication styles, so that you can see what resonates most with you. And therefore, where do you want to be spending more of your time and your energy doing the work that you love, that you're naturally talented in? You will recognize yourself in one of these main profiles, but also in the 2 profiles either side of that main profile, because you have a primary profile. Let's take the catalyst right at the top there, and 2 secondary profiles, which for the catalyst are the champion on the right and the calibrator on the left. You can be in flow in all of those profiles, but you're most in flow in your primary, which is the catalyst. You've got more energy in the catalyst profile, less energy in the champion and the calibrator. So let's look in more depth at those energies. And we're going to start with this activating energy. Activating energy is very visual. They're always looking at what they can do next. They're always looking at the potential in what you're doing. How could you augment that project? How could you make it better? What new thing could you introduce? What new idea could you launch? Or what new business could you start? So it's very fast paced. So they think quickly, they act quickly, they learn quickly, and they really love to be involved at the start of anything new. So a catalyst is the spark of that new idea, that new project, that new business, and they're exciting people and very energizing to be around. So let's just show you a little bit more about them. A catalyst, as the name describes, is all about accelerating change. So they love to brainstorm. They love strategy meetings where they're throwing ideas around and people are brainstorming them with them. They're always looking for better things to do, more ways to take the business to the next level. They love to be at the start of something. So they like to catch the wave as it's going up rather than join the wave as it's coming down the other side. They really like to be at the forefront of anything innovative. So they're really good at driving change. They're very comfortable with change. They tend to be quite fast speaking and fast thinking. So for people that are a little bit more analytical and a bit slower in their way of working, they can find the catalyst profile a little bit overwhelming. And if you think you're a catalyst, something to be aware of is that not everybody thinks, speaks, and acts as fast as you do. So when you are delegating tasks to the team around you, make sure you take a little bit more time than feels normally comfortable for you to explain what you want done, how you want it done, and particularly why you're doing this. Because you are very visionary, but quite a lot of the other profiles around the compass are not so visionary and might not understand why you want to do what you're doing. So taking a little bit of extra time up front, explaining your why, explaining the what, and explaining how you want it done, and particularly when it needs to be done by, making sure you allow them a little bit more time than it would take you, because not everybody can act as fast as you. But if you take that time, the results you get will be much, much higher, much more effective, because the team understand where you're coming from and know what your expectations are. So I mentioned the 2 secondary profiles. So the catalyst can swing to the champion profile on the right, and that's where I'm going next, or to the calibrator profile on the left, which is the eighth profile I will be describing right now. You are most in flow and have most energy in your primary catalyst profile, but you can spend some time during your day in either of the 2 secondary profiles, be in flow. But if you try to be in those secondary profiles all day, you'd be very drained by the end of the day. So you don't have as much energy in your secondaries as you do in your primary profile. Catalyst, an ideal person for a catalyst to work with is first of all the coach profile here, and then second to that is the cultivator profile. And the magic formula is 2 away from your primary takes you to the coach, 3 away from that second person brings you to the cultivator. That means you're covering all the energies. The catalyst is covering the activating energy, the coach the inspiring energy, and the cultivator brings the sustaining and refining energy. So you're getting the different skill sets working together. It's bringing the different perspectives and ideas, experience, and wisdom to the meeting or to the project that you're working on. I love this quote by Elon Musk. Talent is extremely important. It's like a sports team. The team that has the best individual player will often win, but then there's a multiplier from how those players work together and the strategy they employ. And we all know that two heads are always better than one, and collaborating with other people really accentuates the value and the skills that we bring to the party, to the project, to the idea. So inspiring profiles, and if you remember, the inspiring energy is round here to the right of the contribution compass. They're still visual, they're still very much also auditory, so they get excited about anything new, but they love to hear that excitement in your voice. They love to hear what impact it's going to have, particularly on the team. They always ask who needs to get involved, and they're always championing the cause of the team. They really love to drive that growth, and they get a lot of their results through discussion with other people. We're going to first look at the inspiring champion. The champion is all about blazing a trail, and they're a strong contribution of the catalyst energy and that inspiring energy. So the champion is an ambassador for the cause. So the catalyst might come up with that idea, that new business, that new project they want to launch. The champion is the one that will go out there and shout about it and get everybody engaged and excited. Champions are very evangelical when they're rallying people to a cause, and they're very good at getting other people engaged and excited about that cause, getting them on board. Now, a champion is very good on their feet. So if this is your profile or your secondary profile, somewhere where you really add value is presenting. That might be running a workshop, a masterclass in front of a room full of people, or it could be standing on stage in front of a big audience, or even right now what I'm doing, because I'm a champion, is running webinars. And when you're one to many, you're fully in flow. And all we want to do as champions is engage that audience and do what's best for them and give them great value and inspire them and motivate them. So a champion operates best when they've got a team who can take care of the organizing, the marketing, the details. So the champion can focus on delivering a great performance. So that's the champion profile in a nutshell. Oprah Winfrey is a champion profile. And she says, surround yourself only with people who are going to lift you higher. I'm just going to stop there for a minute, because I firmly believe there's two types of people in the world. There are radiators and there are drains. The drains are the people who want to keep you where you are right now. They'll say to you, why are you going for more training? Why are you going on that course? You know so much already. You don't need to do that. Why do you want to lose weight? You're lovely just the way you are. Why do you want to get another qualification? You don't need that. You're great. Why do you want to get fitter? And they'll keep you small, because when you grow and evolve in whatever way you're growing or evolving, you're threatening their status quo. You're making them feel uncomfortable in their comfort zone. You're making them feel that they should also be stretching. Whereas if you stay in your comfort zone, you make them feel more comfortable as well. The inspiring people, on the other hand, will challenge you. They'll encourage you to stretch out your comfort zone. They'll encourage you to go for that next step in your business or go for that next promotion. Not only that, they'll support you, they'll advise you, they'll connect you with the people that are going to get there. So who are you spending most of your time with? Sometimes it's time to ditch the drains, unless, of course, you're married to one, in which case you have my sympathy. But if it's people you're hanging out with and you're regularly drained after you've been with them, perhaps it's time to move on and spend more time with inspiring people. And I fully believe people come into our life for a reason. And at that time, it's right that they're there and we interact with them and we enrich each other's lives. But there comes a time when it's important to let some of those people go and make room for new, inspiring people to come into your life who are better placed to support you in where you've grown to now, and really embrace those people, enjoy being with them, and enjoy the mutual support you give each other as you go on to the next level. Let's look at the champion profile. Champion profiles, you build a team with them with connectors. So champions, the next person they need to work with is the connector, because they've got more inspiring energy and also sustaining energy, which is all about getting things done. But they also need a conductor, because a conductor's got that refining analytical energy and looks after the detail. And that's somewhere where the champion doesn't usually want to spend a lot of their time. So that's the ideal formula for the champion. Let's move on to the coach. And a coach is brilliant at inspiring greatness in others. A coach is really invested in supporting the people around them to be the best possible version of themselves. And they love to see other people stretching and growing, and will support them in that growth. A coach is also the best person to fight for the rights of the team. So the coach will go to the CEO or the MD and let that CEO or MD know if somebody's feeling hard done by, if they're not being recognized for the value they bring to the team. They will really fight the corner for the team. But a coach is really good at getting the whole team on board with that new idea, that vision for the future, that project, and getting them out there on the networking scene or marketing, talking to people, making the right connections. A coach will inspire and motivate the team around them to go out and do that. A coach gets their best results through discussion and debate. So they love to sit round a table with the team and find out everybody's views. And from that reason, quite often a coach can find it difficult to make decisions, because they want everybody to be happy. They want to consider the whole team. And therefore, sometimes they can consider everybody and keep changing their mind, because everybody's got a different opinion and a different idea. So if you are this coach profile, just be aware that trying to please everybody is not always possible, and it can slow down your decision making, your progress, and ultimately the progress of the whole team. Coaches obviously like to be liked, and therefore wanting to be liked by everybody can sometimes stop you from taking people to task if they're not performing well enough, or keeping people accountable. So just be aware of those two challenges for the coach profile. The best coach leads by example, makes decisions, supports others, but is strong in making sure that people are kept accountable and do make things happen. So the coach's secondaries are the champion profile on the left and the connector on the right, which I'm just about to explain to you, but they're most in flow in that inspiring coach profile in the middle. And team building with coaches, well, they work perfectly with the custodian, who's right here in the middle of this nurturing, sustaining energy, the energy of getting things done. And the third person, who's an ideal member of their team of three, is the calibrator. The calibrator is all about fine-tuning, finding better ways of doing things, and I'll explain that more detail shortly. Then let's look at sustaining profiles. Now, as we're going round, start to think about where you feel you sit on this spectrum. Start to make some notes about those strengths and challenges and see what you resonate with most, particularly if you haven't done your profile, because I really want this experience to be a learning experience, so that after this webinar, you can go away and put some actions into process that will enable you to be more in flow. So that's not just, oh, that was interesting. It's, okay, I'm now going to apply it. And towards the end of the session, I'm going to be asking you what 3 actions you're going to take as a result of this learning. So the sustaining profiles, they tend to ask, when do things need to be done by? They're very deadline driven. Where do things need to happen? They also like to be part of a team. So they're very good at identifying who to bring into a project to get things done. They like to feel that they're working in conjunction with the people around them. They get quite isolated if they're working on their own. And they're all about learning through doing. So they nurture the ideas, the projects that have been initiated by the catalysts and the champions, and they nurture that through to actually making it happen in real time. So let's look at them in a little bit more detail. first of all, you've got the connector, and the connector is right on the corner with the inspiring energy and the sustaining energy. And like this image projects, they've got an extensive network. They're the sort of people that you meet at a networking event and you just happen to mention you're looking for a web designer, for example, and they'll say, I know a brilliant one, I'll connect you. And before you've even got back to your desk, they have sent you an email connecting you with this person. They are just brilliant at spotting the ideal people to bring together. So they're great connectors. They're great at building bridges with people. They ideally love to sit down at a table with just one or two people. They're not usually the sort of people that want to command the attention of a room. They'd much prefer to be in conversation and discussion at a deeper level with just one or two or even three people. And they're really good at spotting solutions for the people around the table and for making them happen by connecting people to other people who can make those solutions happen. They've got a bit of a sense of fun. They're known as practical jokers. They like variety, as does the coach, by the way, and they get really drained of energy if they're stuck in an office, particularly if they've got a pile of contracts to read through or a document to proofread. They will very, very quickly lose interest and lose energy. But put them with people, put them on a negotiating table or a resolution piece, you know, a conflict resolution, and they'll really come into their own. So absolutely brilliant at that, finding that best solution, the best way forward. Now, a challenge for the connector is that because they're constantly sorting out other people's issues and connecting people, they very often neglect themselves. And at the end of the week, they can look at what they've done for themselves and it's minuscule, and they haven't moved their own business or project or role forwards in any way. So if you think you fall into this connector profile category, just be aware that you need to build in time for you, time for your own development, time for moving your own business and projects forward, and time for you to connect with people that are going to help and support you. Profile pendulum for the connector is the coach on the left there and the custodian on the right, which I'm just about to go into, but you're most in flow in that connector central profile. The connector works best with the cultivator because the cultivator, while they've got some of the sustaining energy that the connector also has, they've also got a lot of refining energy. So that's analytical, detail focused, results driven. And the catalyst at the top is, of course, the ideas person, the person that comes up with those sparks of new ideas, new visions, which can sometimes be lacking in the connector, really good at getting those ideas started, but not so good at coming up with them. The custodian is very much the nurturer, love to bring the team together and help them all to move in the one direction and get to the destination that has been predetermined. They honor their promises. Custodians are brilliant at building long-term relationships with clients because they always keep their word. They make things happen on time. They keep those promises that they make to the clients. So they build really deep trust with clients, and often clients will stay with a business because of that relationship with the custodian and the trust that custodian has built. Custodians are very good at creating harmony in a team. They're very grounded in sensory, so they can sense when somebody's out of sync, when somebody's not feeling valued or they're not feeling appreciated in a team. And they spend time with that person to get to the root cause of that feeling of not being valued, and they'll solve it. However, a bit like the connector, they can spend so much time solving everybody else's problems that they can get a bit overwhelmed, and they can go home and worry about those problems, and that really detracts from their own energy. It drains their energy. So if you think you're a custodian, that's just something to watch out for. But on the other hand, you make great project managers. You're really good at getting things done on time and really brilliant at galvanizing that team to work as a collective whole. Your secondaries are your connector on the left-hand side, and then the cultivator, which we're going into next. Ideal team for you if you think you're a custodian is the conductor, because the conductor's got this lovely analytical, refining energy, and the champion, who brings the activating energy and the inspiring energy. So that's your dream team there. Let's just look at the example of a team needing more sustaining energy. You can see from the three characters here, obviously fictitious, that overall together they have 37.7% activating energy, 24.5 inspiring, 14.6 sustaining, 23.1 refining. So looking at that as a collective, their lowest energy is this 14.63. So when they're recruiting, the ideal thing to do when they get to the shortlist and they've got a couple of candidates who've got everything that they need in terms of experience, qualifications, etc., to profile them at that stage, because then what we can do is add that person's scores onto the team score to see what impact their profile, their energy will have on the overall score of the team. And you can see with Ernest Shackleton here, he's got a lot of this sustaining energy, 36.4, adding him into the team above brings these collective scores into much greater balance. So that team will work far more effectively together. And if you have a team, this tool is invaluable on analyzing where you need more energy in the team, and also understanding what roles are best for what people. So the refining energy, which the cultivator has got some of, and the conductor has lots of, they're all about analytics. They're all about how we're going to do things and analyzing the facts, the figures, the data, making sure that this is going to be a good project, a good idea, a good business to launch. It's going to add positively to the bottom line. And they're all about getting everything in order, getting all the ducks in the row, weighing up all the pros and cons. So they often spot things others miss. So they're absolutely vital to meetings, people with high refining energy. And they really cultivate and nurture the growth of that idea, that project that everybody else around the profile has already worked on. They make great project leaders, and they're really good at turning a project into a process. They're very good at doing things in detail. So if you give a cultivator a contract, for example, to draw up, it will be done to a very, very high level. They are very detailed focused, so they don't like to get things wrong, which means that one of the challenges for a cultivator is they can take a little bit too much time weighing up the pros and cons, analyzing every eventuality, and not starting. And because you've got a sense of wanting to hit deadlines, what that means, doing all that analysis and being slow to start, means that you're often having to put in extra hours, work well into the evening, start early in the morning just to get things done. So something to watch out for is that overanalyzing, and sometimes good Okay, I am now back. Right, hi guys, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that I wasn't there. So I'll come back to the conductor profile because you probably missed that one. And the conductor profile is all about optimizing performance, and it's about getting the most out of the team around them. So as you can imagine, a conductor, if I just flick you into this slide, all about optimizing that performance and getting the best out of the team. They can really spot the strengths of the team around them, where people might be challenged, and they can bring people into a project, an idea, a business at the right time. So conductors are very analytical, very detail focused, really good at spotting any inefficiencies. They ask lots of questions. So it can sometimes irritate the catalysts and the champions who just want to get on with the idea, but actually the conductor asks the right sort of questions so that you can really analyze whether that idea is a good one or not. If I come down to the ideal team for the catalyst, for the conductor, it is the catalyst because they bring this activating energy, and the connector who bring inspiring and sustaining energy. And then the last one I want to come into is the calibrator, who's all about fine-tuning, making things better, pulling ideas and projects apart, putting them back together in a way that's much more time efficient, people effective, cost effective. So they work really well alongside the catalyst, because the catalyst will come up with the idea, the calibrator will make it a better idea. Calibrators are also better at finishing things. Challenge for them is that once they've decided that they've got the best way of doing something, they're quite stuck in their way. So if you think you're a calibrator, you're a fixer, you make things better, just be aware that sometimes you do have to listen to other people as well, and give them some airspace. Perfect team for the calibrator is the champion profile, who can get out and shout about those ideas and get people energized and on board. And then also the custodian profile, and the custodian will nurture that project along. And I'm just going to share this, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. James Dyson said, I made 5,127 prototypes of my vacuum before I got it right. There were 5,126 failures, but I learned from each one. That's how I came up with the solution. I just love that quote. I think we need to use every challenge, every obstacle, every failure in inverted commas that we come up against as a learning opportunity, and look at it as a way in which we're going to grow stronger and more enlightened and get some more expertise. So what I'm going to do now is just ask you some questions and then open the chat box. So first one is, when was the last time you felt totally aligned with what you were doing? It came easily and naturally, and time just flew by. When did you feel like that? Start to type into the chat box. And what were you doing that fired you up so much? Because when you were feeling like that, that's when you were most in flow. So my third question is, how could you spend more time fully in flow? And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now. I'm going to put my video on, and I'm going to come into the chat box. Before the lockdown. Yes. Anybody else? I know a lot of people have found lockdown really challenging and are feeling out of flow and just can't get back into that lovely feeling of being fired up and energized. And I think a lot of it is, many of us get fired up when we're around people, and we find it quite difficult being on our own and trying to find ways to be fired up on our own. And you know, when you find your flow, then obviously you will be able to engineer your life so that you are doing more of what you love. And, you know, as I said earlier, when I was explaining the champion profile, which is where I sit, as soon as we were into lockdown and I wasn't able to get in front of people live, I thought, right, how can I still do one-to-many? And that's where I created all the webinars that I'm now delivering. And I get a lot of buzz and I'm in a lot of flow when I'm delivering webinars. Nurkash, when I was lectures helping new project managers, fantastic. Romeo, what a lovely name. When I was working together with a whole team and progressing everyone's part of the team, fantastic. Where do you guys sit on the spectrum? Do you know what profile you are? Where do you think you sit if you haven't done your profile? Be really interested to see some feedback from you. When I was in varsity. Okay. Amanda, what was it about that fired you up so much? What did you love about being in varsity? While you're doing that, I am going to go back and share my screen because there's a couple more things that I really want to share with you. So let's come back down here. When our Denford, when our organization was small and more engaging, yes, well, that's one of the hazards of big organizations, isn't it? It's you get kind of out of touch with people and you don't have as much daily rapport, and that's really difficult. So let's come on to this one. Spend a little bit of time thinking about those questions because it could really change the way that you work going forwards. But one thing I wanted to share with you, one other thing I wanted to share with you, that a great way to work more in flow is to work in blocks of energy. So if you see, let me just put this on full screen for you. Those of you that have done your profile, you've been measured on the 4 energies: activating, inspiring, sustaining, refining. But we do recognize that we all have this spirit energy, which is our why. Why do we do what we do? What's the purpose behind it? What's the big vision behind it? And it's important to regularly take time to just check in with our vision. Check in, is what we're doing, what we're really aiming for? What's our future going to look like? Can we visualize that future? How are we going to feel when we've reached there? And are we aligned with our values? It's important to take time out every week to spend some time in that spirit energy. The activating energy is all the new exciting things that you're involved in. So it might be mind mapping an idea. It might be brainstorming an idea with your team. It might be creating something new from scratch. It might be scoping out a new project or a workshop or a talk. But it's anything that uses that sparky, catalytic, creative energy. If you put all those tasks in a block of time and do them in that block of time, and while you're doing them, turn off your phone and your email notifications, you'll get so fired up that you'll be incredibly productive. Best time for most people is first thing in the morning when the brain is rested and fresh. Some people get a burst of catalyst energy in the evening. So work out the best time for you and build in a block of time when you can just be in that activating energy. And the inspiring energy is people energy. So it's sales and marketing, it's team meetings, it's phone calls with people, it's social media, it's networking, it's anything that's to do with people either online or offline goes into that inspiring energy. And if you do that in a block of time, you get into that connecting energy, you get into that energy of speaking, of communicating, and you're much more effective if you do all that together. The sustaining energy is about moving things forward. It's about progressing projects, meeting deadlines, checking in that your team are engaged and hitting their targets as well. But anything that's to do with getting through your tasks and moving things forward is sustaining. And refining, it's taking time to do a bit of analysis and research, looking at things in more depth, perhaps looking at your budgets, looking at the figures, analysing the cash flow, the P&L, etc. It's all that detailed stuff. And again, that should be uninterrupted time where you're shutting yourself off from distractions and you're just moving on with that. If you want to find out more about how to operate in flow and you really want to connect with yourself at a deeper level, I'm launching a 6-week online program on Tuesday. That's the 2nd of June. It's normally £2,000. At the moment in lockdown, it's just $297 plus VAT for 6 intensive transformational weeks. It's got 6 masterclasses. It's got videos every week in between those masterclasses. It's got handbooks for everyone, and it's got online connection with me as well, plus a Facebook group to share any challenges and any wins every week. It is an incredible program, and I'd love you to be on it. And then my question to you now, what are the top 3 actions you will commit to today? And I'd love you to share some of them in the chat box, because it's all very well listening to this and thinking, that was interesting, I learned a lot, but what are you actually going to do as a result? And what are the first steps you're going to take? And go a step further and identify, when are you going to take those first steps? Could you take one this afternoon? Could you schedule them in tomorrow? Because when we learn, we fire up new neural pathways. And the longer we leave those neural pathways unstimulated, the quicker they will just become redundant. So it's really important when you've learned to do something straight away, to reflect on the learnings, to read through your notes, to read the follow-up ebook that's going to come out, and to take action now. The longer you leave it, the less you'll remember and the less likely you are to take action. I love this quote by Zig Ziglar. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And then I just want to share one of my favorite quotes. We are all only scratching the surface of our true potential. Beyond wherever you are now lies an infinite well of potential that would absolutely astound you. And as I said at the beginning, it's bottomless. So the more you dive in, the more there is to dive into. And the more you dive in, the more exciting life becomes. I'm a great believer in not always following that well-worn path, but going instead where there is no path and leaving a trail. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I would love to hear some of the things that you're going to do. So you're a cultivator, Nakash. Okay, so you're really good at making things better, at nurturing things, taking things through to completion, hitting deadlines, nurturing projects. Peter, get a new job with the ideal profile fit. Absolutely. I think we've never been reminded so starkly that life is short and our days are numbered, and life is too short to spend it doing stuff that you're not engaged with, that doesn't inspire you, that doesn't lift you up. Now is the time to get into flow and to live a life where you love the work you do and that you're having a real impact on the people around you. Zelda, find out my profile, focus on the energy there where it will best serve my new business and my spiritual calling. If you want to go on my website, Zelda, it's sylviabaldock.com. You will find a special link to Contribution Compass at a special price. I've also got an unbelievable offer on a one-to-one debrief. So, Tom, you managed to pick up on numerous notes previously missed. I am delighted. That's reinforcing the learning. There's my special offer link below. And also there's a contribution compass link right next to it in the menu on the homepage. Wiseman, develop my profile. What do you mean by that, Wiseman? Do you mean spend more time in flow? Engineer your time to do more what you love of? I'd love to find out a little bit more about that. While you're doing that, Graham, your profile refers to tempering. Yes, tempering is the description we used before we changed it to refining. So the tempering energy is the refining energy. It's that detailed, focused, analytical energy. It's spotting things that others miss. It's getting all the ducks in a row, creating order and minimizing risk. That's that tempering energy. Zelda, I understand why I was so terribly dissatisfied with my career in the formal employment market. Yes. Do you know, that's one of the things I love about profiling is it gives you such a deep understanding of where you don't add value, where you're out of flow. And it's not that you're inadequate. It's not that you're thick. It's just that that's not the way you're put together. You're put together to work in flow and to play to your strengths. And when you're not doing that, you're out of flow. And that's when you start to feel stupid, like that fish trying to climb a tree. It's not a default in you. It's just the way you're wired. It's the way you're put together. Nurkash, I want to align my true purpose to my ability to change lives positively. I love that. Wiseman, spend more time doing what I enjoy doing. Absolutely. And it's not even just what you enjoy doing. Flow is so when you spend a large amount of time out of flow, at the end of the day, you're exhausted. When you're in flow, at the end of the day, you're excited, you're energized, you're fired up. You can see the impact that you've had, and you know you're making a difference in your business and also to other people. Wiseman, you're a catalyst. Fabulous. You're going to change the world then. That lovely catalytic activating energy. Brilliant. Just remember then to temper a little bit for people around you. If you're asking people to do things, they might not be able to work as fast as you. Romeo, maybe there's much more connection problem. Let me thank you, Sylvia, for the webinar. Oh, have I gone off again? I'm so sorry. I've earned additional input to my working knowledge about my personal energy, where I belong. Thank you, Romeo. Out of flow because education on economic system is not designed correctly to achieve this. Nurkash, yeah, I can understand that. And, you know, our mission is to get so many more people and big organizations and educational establishments to understand how to get the most out of people, how to value the strengths that people have, and how to help people to spend more time fully in flow. Graham, is 60 the new 40? Many of us may have to work longer, but is there an employer stigma regarding the potential employment of personnel older than 60? Graham, that's certainly not unique to where you are. I'm part of the Professional Speaking Association, and there are many members who are in their 60s. We've even got some members who are in their 70s. And they're not just speakers, they're also trainers and coaches. And I know so many people who have retired and then gone, do you know what? I'm missing so much purpose in my life, and they've gone back to work in their 60s. And I think many of us will be working well into our 70s. And why not? If we're making a difference, if we're living life in flow, that's too good a feeling to give up. So, you know, I think, you know, once you get into flow, once you're loving what you do, you won't want to give up, because life then, it doesn't seem hard. Work's not hard. It seems like a real joy. And you just don't ever want to stop. Some more. Revisit my profile, Hella. Align myself and find a job after lockdown. Thank you. Loved it. Thank you, Hella. Denford. I want to be a champion in my discipline. I believe I have what it takes. Then do it, Denford. Do you know, when I found out my profile, I immediately joined the Professional Speaking Association, because although I was already doing a lot of training and mentoring, I wasn't speaking to big audiences. And I just thought, okay, if I'm a champion, let's test this out. And I tell you, it was scary, because the first time I went, I heard phenomenal speakers, ex-TV presenters, people who were really polished in their performance. And I got that mantra, you've got nothing to say. You've got nothing to say. That one that my husband introduced. That really kept me back from pushing myself forward to speak in front of that group. But when I did, wow, it changed my life. And now I love nothing better than standing on stage in front of an audience. So when you know what profile you are, it gives you so much courage to step out of your comfort zone and to step into that true proof profile and tap into so much more of your potential and do what you're put on this planet to do. It gives you that anchor, and it's magic. It changes your life. Does one need, Clinton, does one need to be in a situation of out of flow to become in flow? I mean, by being challenged out of your comfort zone. I think if you've never understood flow, the chances are that you're spending probably a large chunk of your time out of flow, because most of us are brought up to be a jack of all trades and to learn to be good at everything. So stretching out of your comfort zone will enable you to test more of how you feel in flow. Now, sometimes you might be stretching out of your comfort zone and out of flow. So it's important to recognize where your skill set is, and when you're stretching, to stretch more towards those skills, more towards your flow than away from your flow. And, you know, the more you stretch out of your comfort zone, then suddenly your stretch zone becomes your comfort zone, and you're stretching into an even scarier zone, which was the discomfort zone, but is now the stretch zone. And you just keep moving outwards and outwards, stretching more, and that's really fulfilling. And it's also honoring one of our basic needs, which is self-actualization. It's the top of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramids, and that constantly evolving is something all of us need, and it feels fabulous. Zelda, I can see how I can apply this to develop and assist my children, because I can already see they have distinct. Absolutely, Zelda. As soon as I trained in this, I profiled my daughters, and I've been able to really guide them and help them in their career pathway. Living life in Nurkash, living a life of flow, age should not limit it because it's done with love. Absolutely. Bronwyn, I'm sorry you've lost audio. Rumbitsa, thank you, great insight. Thank you so much. Please, nurture yourself more. Okay, a couple of you have lost audio, so I'm going to bring this to a close. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do connect with me on LinkedIn. Please do look at the offer I have for you. I'd love to see some of you on the program next Tuesday. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.